Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey guys, welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I am Robert Kalin here with
Mike Newland. Great to be back again.
Hey everybody, Tony Frasconi. Good to be with you and be back. What's up,
awesome,
guys?
Yeah, so good to have you guys on the show. Today, we have a very, very special program for you. We're going to be talking about the right environment with leadership. And I'm going to kick it over to my buddy, Tony. This kind of feels to me a little Brady Bunch-ish. So my buddy, Tony, right over here to introduce our guests today.
Well, if you're watching, we've got a fourth person on the screen. And if you're joining in, you're listening, we've got somebody with us. And I'm going to do a brief introduction. And I just want to just kind of front load by saying, we all have people in our life that inspire us, that make us want to be better. And this person today for me is that person. We kind of have people in our life that are kind of they're like a celebrity in our own life. They have that celebrity status. And this person for me carries that. She's been an instructional coach. She's been an educator. She's been a presenter at national conferences. She's been a principal in Dubai for 5 years or so, or more. I can't remember. But and I met her about 5 or 6 years ago, working in Washington State when she became a principal, and now she's in Arizona leading a new school, elementary school there as a principal. And it's just such an honor to introduce to you Ann Plenkovich, everybody. Ann, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for that very generous introduction, Tony. I thought you were talking about yourself there for a second. No, I'm so happy to be here, and I've been following the show. I've got all kinds of little nuggets in my pockets from episodes. I think it's 1 through 23. I've made it up to 23 so far.
Wow.
So I'm like Napoleon Dynamite. I'm collecting my tater tots in my pocket from your guys' show. So thanks for having me, and it's such a nice compliment.
It's great to have a fellow educator with Tony and I on here. Robert, you probably feel a little bit out of place because you don't have all those other credentials. But Ann, can you give us maybe a little bit about, Tony told us about you being in Dubai, but about your background? What made you decide to become a principal?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity as a classroom teacher and an instructional coach to work under really impactful principals to both ends, positively impactful and negatively impactful. And, I got to see the role and the soul of that person being pretty pivotal to what can happen within a school community. And once I had finished about 10 years of the coaching work, it was time to think about what was next. And I felt like that's where I could stay close to kids and also hopefully impact a school community and contribute what I hope to be legacy work, because I think isn't that what we all desire, is to leave footprints wherever we lead. So yeah, I think that's it. So
you talked about a little bit here about legacy, which leads into another question that I had, which was about who were people who've influenced you in your career development, and kind of whether you use names or not, that's okay. But what was the thing that helped point you in the direction that you went? Yeah.
You mean besides Tony Frasconi? Who's been a good person to emulate? I'll give a shout out to Robert Hayes. He's no longer with us, but he was the first principal that I had that I looked up to, and at that time wasn't able to notice and name what exactly he did to elevate and to bring so much light to the space. And he was just a magnet, and he did it just by making every single person in the room feel like the most important person. And he just trusted his team, and he kept it positive. And he was the one that I said, I want to do that when I grow up. I want to be that guy when I grow up. And then I've just had I've been blessed by so many mentors along the way. I study people. I have since I was a little girl. I take 2-column notes on people, like, okay, what did they just say? And how did that make me feel when they said it? How did they do that? And so, I've done that my whole life and have gotten to learn from people like Ben Zander, who is the director of the Philharmonic Orchestra. He has traveled the world nationally and talked to leaders and talked about the art of possibility and how, ultimately as leaders, our job is to pay attention to the shiny eyes around us. Are the people around us, are their eyes shiny? And when I go into a classroom, I look for shiny eyes. If the kids aren't lit up, then we're missing something, right? If I'm leading a building where the teacher's eyes aren't light up and the staff that is serving our students, if their eyes aren't lit up, I need to get in front of them a little bit and have some conversations and figure out where I need to bumper the car a little bit or offer some more support. So Ben Zander has been hugely influential in just helping reframe my thinking around challenges and really keeping people at the center of the work every day.
That's
so
great.
That's great.
I could just talk for a really long time. And I have to say, Tony, you know this. You're one of the 5 that I paid attention to in Federal Way, because you showed me how to have some of the most critical and courageous conversations, truth and love, all the way. You are a mastermind at that. So thank you for letting me learn from you.
Well, if you didn't hear, you need to maybe go back and replay about the bright eyes. I think that is so key to how we lead people. Is there a light in their eyes, whether you're in a schoolhouse or whether you're working in another business situation, or, is having those bright eyes in front of you. And if they're not bright, then we as leaders have an opportunity and really a role in what we need to serve. And all of us have had great mentors like Tony in our life, and they've got us to where we are. And how do we emulate that going back is, one of the things I think is really important about thinking about that right environment that we're creating. So education.
Yeah, we have to keep the light in our eyes too, right? Yeah. And when I'm not feeling lit up, typically it's because I'm not spending enough time with people that are doing the work, they're in the guts of it, right? The kids. And so I have to find ways to make sure I'm staying kindled and lit up, feeling inspired to go to work every day. And it starts with me. And that doesn't mean I can show up and fix any problems or fix anything on my own, but I definitely, I think sometimes we get so outwardly focused that we forget about taking care of our own light. And that's such a huge part of my learning as well.
Yeah, in education, there's these terms like fill your bucket that you hear a lot. And I think, and what you're saying there is just that, you've got to do things to fill your bucket so you can be that inspiration and the leader that you want to be around other people. And I think that some of the connection maybe that we shared while we worked together was that human-centric aspect of leadership that we both value. The people, being around people, lighting other people up, and then it lights us up, and inspires us to reciprocate. And I think we both lead from that place. And I think that by itself is such an important part, not just because, not just for being a school principal, but Robert, you're a business owner and a leader. And if you're just back there, crunching numbers all day, that's not what you got into this for. You got in this to lead and inspire, and that's what makes people want to come back and go to your business. And so I think it kind of comes full circle. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would also just say, the thought about, you mentioned it in your first answer to the question, which is the good influence and the bad influence. We all have those people in our lives that we've recognized, in leadership roles. They've had a good influence on us, and then ones that have had a bad influence on us.
Yeah.
But then with your second answer in your question, you really pointed out the fact that you get to choose how you show up. You get to choose to be the good influence. And what does it look like to bring light into other people's world? I think that's something that all of us really attain, or we aim for anyway, in our leadership. We aim to be purposeful and intentional. We aim for impact and influence. We want people's lives to be better because we've come into it. And that's, from what I'm hearing so far, that's what you get to do every day. And that is amazing. I love it.
Well, I don't do it every day, but I sure can feel it when I don't, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just coming back to the truth and giving yourself grace, because I miss the mark all the time. And I think if you're running any organization, everyone talks about work-life balance. And I don't know if that's possible. Like, I don't know if there's an ideal around balance, but I do believe that there's harmony. And so how do we create a inner harmony so that we can lead in a harmonious way and make sure that we can be fully present in the work. I've been reading, I'm going to give a name out to if you don't know Otto Scharmer's work, he talks about the idea of presencing and 4.0 listening. And it really it's something I've been ruminating on this summer. Something I've been thinking a lot about is that role of, deep listening and creating space for dialogue that then creates that culture of dignity that I think everyone wants to be a part of, if they even know it exists, right? I think some of us have never experienced that, especially educators. And so it's kind of reframing my thinking a little bit and giving me places to stretch in my thinking about how much time do I spend listening presently versus talking to the people that I'm serving, the community I'm serving. So it's a goal. I think listening is an art, truly an art. And it's something that we get to, learn more about, I think, as leaders. It's a missing piece because there's no time, right? We're just getting at it all the time.
I think that's, one of the challenges that you've said that you face as in education, and we talk about the right environment that we're in, is how do we show up and how do we take care of the people around us? So often in education, we talk about doing what's best for kids, and that's critical. But at the same time, we also need to do what's best for staff. And so Ann and I were having a conversation prior to this about this work that you're talking about the ecosystem. So tell us a little bit more about how that's playing out for you as you're thinking about how that works within your schoolhouse with your team, and how our listeners can take that and apply it to their own situation as a business owner or as a leader within their organization.
And maybe before you even start that question, what is the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that ecosystem awareness, it really embodies that we're doing human work, right? And it cares about the well-being of all. It's not self-serving. It's not about me. It can't be about me if I'm serving, if I'm trying to develop an ecosystem where we're truly working as in unity towards a shared vision, co-creating, co-thinking, co-constructing, being willing to try something new and fall down and skin up our knees and go, yep, that didn't work. But, we learned what doesn't work. We learned what works. So I think that ecosystem is the ideal, but especially in, I'll use education as an organization. It's very ego driven. It's very central, it's there's a lot of fixed systems of metrics of achievement that say, we know you're a thriving school if your metrics are this, this, and this. And it's a lot of fear-based thinking, a lot of fear-based leadership is at the top of the food chain in education. And I think when we boil things down, ultimately, we are leading systems from fear or from love. There's only those two places when you really get to the bottom of things. And so I think the ecosystem is really fueled by love and the idea of building that sense of belonging, building that culture of dignity and dialogue. And the ecosystem is more just aware of the checks and balances. How does it look on the outside? It doesn't get to the heart of the work that ultimately we have to be leaning into every day.
Wow, so good. And I think, for all of our listeners out there who are thinking about their own business and thinking about their systems and thinking about their people, either coming at it from a place of fear or from a place of love. I just love that. I think all of us can take that away right now and just go, look, how do I evaluate myself based on fear and love? Am I doing what's best for the other person? And all that's great.
Yeah, every aspect of life. I mean, you can apply that to, but I think it's so critical in the role of leadership. And we've talked about this before, where leadership doesn't mean your position necessarily or your title. Leadership is how you show up every day, wherever you're at every day. And so just like Robert said, wherever you're at, take that. What is your next step? And is that step based out of fear or love, and how you're leading your life and others around you? And you said something about listening curiously or listening and making others feel valued. And I think that's so critical too. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? When you talk about listening as a leader, what are the things you're listening for? Who are you listening to? Unpack that a little for us.
Well, I can't because I don't know how to do it yet, but I know it's what I'm supposed to do. No, it's a growth area for me. So I think so I think about symmetry in education. And if we need to, I think about the future focused classroom. I think about what are we, how are we setting the table in the classroom every day for kids to be doing, for the children to be doing most of the thinking, most of the talking, and therefore doing the most learning, right? Teachers should not be going home more tired than the students at the end of the day in a future focused classroom, because the future is now. Kids, these concrete skills and strategies are going to be so, they aren't going to be as important as being able to communicate, collaborate, think outside the box, be inquisitive, problem solve, these kinds of life skills that our Fortune 500 companies are looking for, right? But our traditional classroom doesn't do that. My point is, we have to create, if that's the environment we want in the classroom, a lot of student agency, students doing the heavy lifting. How am I then creating that for staff? How am I creating an environment where they're making the decisions? They're grappling with questions. And that means I need to be asking questions that get me to hear, what are they grappling with? What are they learning about? So what are they struggling with? How's it going? How's it going? What is there anything I can do to support? Those are questions I need to be asking more often. And I think when you know your people, and you get to know your people, then they actually know you care, and they'll go with you. And you guys have talked a lot about fans versus followers and that whole idea. And I think people won't go with you if they don't think that you care. If you haven't been in the arena and you're, staying in the balcony and leading from the balcony. So my work, I think, with presencing and that deep listening is I got to be on the field, running alongside them and having as many conversations a day with the adults that are standing in front of the children, as well as the kids. They're our customers, right? They're the ones we're serving. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have a job. So thank goodness for the children. So yeah, I think that's my stretch area and something that I'm going to be doing more of.
It's good. And I think, a lot of us can look right now at the environments that we're creating. How are we listening to the people that we're leading? And really start pulling all of those little tater tots that you just left us with, put them in our pockets for later, and really show up in a way that lights people up. We want to be like a lighthouse,
That's right.
Just shining bright, letting the ships know where the shore is, and lighting the way. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for just enlightening us with your knowledge and expertise. And I have one final question for you. If there is one piece of advice that you would leave our listeners with, one thing that you've learned over the course of time that you're like, I want to just here it is. What would you say?
Oh boy, that's a good one. I think as simply as I can say this, and this is something that I have really been able to, I think it's one of the things that has allowed me to be successful, whether I have been working at the lowest achieving Title I schools versus private schools in Divide, serving children from all over the globe, versus where I'm at now, which is just, they're all very different environments. I think wherever we're serving, there's this expression called that I use in yoga class, and they say namaste at the end of the class. Have you done yoga? Are you guys bendy, flexible?
Should be.
So I think that is something that I have always, and it comes from, Robert Hayes showing, like, he always looked at you like, he always saw I'm going to use the word divine, because that's what namaste means. The divine in me, bows to the divine in you. And I think that's what we get to do as leaders, is we get to lead for, you presume competence and expertise in every single person, so even someone who on the outside, it's like, wow, this is maybe a weak link or a burnt out person, or maybe they need to move on, and that's okay too. But ultimately what I try to do is, when I'm leading people, I say, show me the divine in them. I want to see their divine. And then you lead for that, and you build from their strengths, and you find out what they can contribute. And when people know that you know and care about them, they will be more willing to go with you again. So I think it's just something that I have landed on that has always worked for me, is leading from their strengths, from personal strengths, and getting to know their expertise and the things that they care about, and showing them that I care about that too.
That's great. People matter.
I certainly know why Tony and you have connected over the years, because kindred hearts of leadership. And in the book that Ann, you were referring to, is it Leading from the Emerging Future? Is that the one you told me about?
Yeah.
So if you want to find out more about ecosystem versus ecosystem of leadership, and that theory behind it, that's the name of the book. So really thank you for your time today. And Robert, I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah. And we just thank you for your time. You guys listening, go follow Ann. Ann, how do we find you?
I don't know.
Do you have are you on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook?
Way ahead of the game here. Yeah. I think I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn.
Yes,
yeah,
I know you have LinkedIn.
Let's find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. We'll tag you so that people can go to our page and find you on there as well. But thank you so much for your time. For all of our listeners out there, you guys, think about the people that you're leading right now. How can you make the light shine in their eyes? Get out there, elevate yourself, elevate your people, elevate your team. Everything that you're doing in life, just take it to the next level. We will see you on the next episode, you guys. Have a great day. God bless.
Thank you for joining us. Our hope is this episode has been helpful for you today. If it's impacted you in some way, we encourage you to share it with someone. To receive a direct notification of our next episode, click the follow button on your favorite app or platform. You can also watch each episode on YouTube. The links are in the description. If you want to connect with us on a deeper level, go to countercultureleadership.com/resources. We'll see you next week on the Elevate Podcast.